when you go all over the place, you get a little lost in the sauce. But
Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Nerdy Misfits podcast. I'm Matt.
and I'm Connor.
And what's on the agenda for today, sir?
Well, first of all, Matt, how are you feeling?
I'm doing a lot better than what I was. It's been a rough couple weeks.
Yeah, we both had the COVID.
Yeah, not a good time. Like, I'm still not like 100%. I feel like you can kind of hear it, like I'm slight congestion.
I still have like a tickle in your throat, kind of
Yeah.
cough, but other than that,
You're doing a lot better.
doing a lot better. But
It's just terrible timing, really.
Glad to hear it. Glad to hear that you're better.
Yeah, and how are
Oh yeah, Matt went on vacation
for 11 hours. That was it.
for almost a day.
Not even
Almost
almost
half a day. Almost half a day.
It was terrible.
How long's the drive?
So the way there took about 3.5 hours because there was 4 separate torrential downpours that I had to drive through, and like we had to we were past like the area, so there was more responsible drivers at least. So anytime there was torrential downpour, they would just turn their four-ways on. Everyone would like slow down respectfully, but it was almost like Christmas lights though. Like I'd be driving torrential downpour, and then just in unison, everyone's like four-ways came on. I was like, whoa. I was like, this is good though. They're actual responsible drivers, and there's no like rude people trying to swerve in and out. You know what I mean?
Like they're like actually driving safe and concerned about others and themselves.
It was insane. I didn't know that was possible. So it was about 3.5 hours there, and then unfortunately on the way back, I got stuck in traffic, so it was more like a 4-hour drive back.
So are you including those hours as part of your vacation?
No,
Oh,
that's the worst part about it.
so you're gone for about a day.
Yeah, pretty well. I think by the time we went there and came back, it was probably about 19 hours and so, 19, 20 hours maybe.
Well, there you go. You had a great vacation.
Sure. But it's fine. I'm doing a lot better now. I'm back to work and everything, so.
In other news,
On a more positive note.
well, recently the Pokemon trailer came out. What were your thoughts on the Pokemon?
Okay, so, I'm not like, oh my gosh, this is going to be the best Pokemon game ever. But I'm still intrigued for it, I think. With, it seems like they're going more like Legend of Arceus style, so it seems a lot more open world based. So I'm excited for that. I'm not excited for the fact that we're recycling the same idea again of having different formed Pokemon. Like, we had the Alolan forms, then we had the Galar forms, and then we had the Hussein, I think that's how you say it, from the Legend of Arceus forms.
I think that's only going to continue though.
I think it will, so I'm getting like,
It's a way of recycling already created Pokemon, which is good because there's so many Pokemon.
Do you think they just use a randomizer and they're like, push a randomizer of all the Pokemon and be like, all right, that's the one we're going to use a new form for? Because the people who have seen the trailer, and obviously if you follow Pokemon on any social media or anything like that, there's a new form of Wooper, okay? And that is not even a Pokemon that I would think to get a new form. Like, why?
It's possible. There's a massive YouTuber, Small Ant. It's his favorite Pokemon. Now, I'm not going to say that they chose Wooper because of Small Ant, but
Wooper has a secret fan base?
Wooper definitely has a fan base.
Well, I know Quagsire has a fan base. Like, Quagsire is very much a meme
I thought people
Pokemon.
liked Wooper more than Quagsire, though.
Really? I thought it was the
'Cause
other
he's
way
cute.
around. Yeah, but Quagsire is just like a meme Pokemon.
Yeah, but Wooper's kind of got that meme level, but he's cute.
I guess.
But yeah, I think he has a much larger fan base than you think.
It's just, I don't know, like I'm looking back, I really hope though is that Meowth does not get another new form. Because Meowth is just, there's so much going on with Meowth. Because you have regular Meowth in Persian, sure. And then there's the Alolan Meowth in Persian. And then there's the Galar Meowth, which then had a separate evolution of Berserker. And then Meowth also got a Gigantamax form as well. And I'm like, I understand Meowth is such a big thing, like in the anime, obviously, and like Meowth has a fan base, but I want a different Pokemon to shine, you know?
Yeah, I feel like it's a good opportunity to take Pokemon that are either both competitively useless or just never not commonly used or something, and go take those away and make those better.
Like the fact that of the 100 and the original Pokemon, there's only one Pokemon. Oh, there's a couple of them, but like there's basically only one Pokemon that doesn't have an evolution, a pre-evolution, Gigantamax, alternate form, anything like that. And it's Tauros.
What about Ditto?
Well, that's why I said like a couple. Like, but Ditto is able
Ditto's-
to transform.
Ditto is everyone.
Ditto is everyone. But
Yeah,
the fact that like Lapras has a Gigantamax form, Snorlax has a baby form, like Jinx, Mr. Mime, like everyone.
yeah, they've added evolutions for almost everyone,
Exactly.
or at least an alternate form.
Even the legendary birds. There's alternate forms of them now too.
Yeah, and all the bird shows that they're looking at doing legendaries. I'm sure in the future, right?
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
Just means that more legendaries will have those changes.
I think that was definitely them being like, well, we'll try it and see what people think.
What did you think of the bike legendaries?
I don't know. They're too Digimon-y, Yu-Gi-Oh style for me. Like
I don't like that they give. It sounds like you get them like pretty early.
yeah. Unless
So
it's
it
just
sounds like-
trolling everyone.
And I know it's a kid game, but they're kid games that have gotten even easier and easier. You know what I mean? So now you're gonna like get a legendary. If you're able to actually use it as part of your party, a legendary Pokemon that early, like
What's the point?
I don't know. I just don't. There aren't very many. Usually, like the one thing that gets me hyped for a new Pokemon game is the designs of some of the Pokemon.
We've only seen a good, I think, like including the starters. We've only seen about 10 Pokemon, maybe.
But none of them have gotten me excited at all.
No,
In
not
terms of,
Lechonk.
No, not in terms of design. It might be one of the first Pokemon games that I don't just get.
Oh, I've already pre-ordered it.
Yeah, I don't think I will be. I think I might let my brother, because I know he's not super excited, but he'll probably most likely get it.
Okay.
And then I'll get his review, his honest review, because he won't
Gotcha.
hold back. He's very honest about the Pokemon games.
I mean, I do agree that the like Sword and Shield, for example, was a decently easy game for the most part. There is parts that I thought were like pretty like struggle-y.
They introduced some interesting concepts too, like the area where the Pokemon were. And
Yeah, the
stuff.
wild area.
Like that was cool, and it was cool that you could play with your friends. And then in the DLC, there was like the tunnel area where you could
The raids, yeah, for Crown Tundra.
where you can do it with. So they introduced some cool things, but I was never a fan of like the Dynamaxing, Gigantamaxing. I thought that was kind of just another gimmick, just another Game Freak gimmick towards upgrading the Pokemon, but not using something they've already made. My favorite is still Mega Evolutions, and as OP as they may be in terms of competitive, I thought that has been one of the better mechanics, and it got you hyped because they weren't ridiculous. It was just a
Buffed form, really.
buffed evolution for for a duration of a battle.
I do agree. Honestly, I think they should bring back Mega Evolutions. I think it'd be super cool to see because there is certain like starters I would love to see a Mega Evolution for.
And the Dynamax, Gigantamax just was kind of ridiculous.
It did feel ridiculous at
The
some
idea
points.
is very ridiculous. Some of the designs were okay, but it's just the fact that the Pokemon just becomes like a 30-story building is like, okay, whatever.
Then it makes me wonder that one episode in Indigo League, when there's just the giant Pokemon, was it just Pokemon that were just Gigantamaxed and Dynamaxed forever?
Probably.
Is that canonized now?
All right, yeah, but that did we talk about the She-Hulk trailer
I don't think so. No, there was a few trailers.
from Comic-Con, right?
Yeah, we can touch upon Comic-Con quick.
I thought the She-Hulk trailer was actually. I did not realize. Well, I'm assuming it's probably going to be majority literally episode 1, but I did enjoy seeing like Bruce Banner Hulk, like
Yeah, the Gray Hulk, Joe Hulk,
just
kind of situation.
kind of being
yeah.
like the mentor, being like, "You're a Hulk now.
I
This
thought
is
that
the
was
way it
pretty
is."
good.
So I didn't expect that.
Let's
I haven't looked more into it, but I was excited to see him.
Yeah, but we should probably talk about like the spoilers for the She-Hulk trailer. The two characters that showed up in it, Wong obviously shows up, and now you finally seen Shang-Chi,
Yes.
so you know that Wong's in there with Abomination.
Yep.
And obviously Abomination's in She-Hulk. But then the Daredevil at the end of the trailer,
Yeah, that was a fun little tease.
not wearing the traditional Daredevil costume though. He's wearing the old costume, which is the yellow and red from the comics, which
It's
makes
Reverse
me
Flash.
think it's not Daredevil.
It's Reverse Flash.
How did you? No, don't talk about Reverse Flash.
It's
Oh,
Reverse
no,
Flash.
I can go on a tangent about that.
He went so fast in the Speed Force that he is now in the MCU. He
Dang.
escaped DC.
Everyone wants to escape DC. But I was there's a character in the comics which I don't know too much about, but his name is Demolition Man, and he wears a very similar costume to Daredevil. So people are like, maybe it's Demolition Man instead and not Daredevil.
Or maybe they're hyping up Daredevil.
Or maybe they're having it because, there is...
Because he's a lawyer.
He's a lawyer. That's the thing. It connects. And
She's a lawyer.
It all makes sense.
He's a lawyer. Maybe they go off against each other.
They could be. That'd be actually...
Because she's representing...
the Abomination, I think.
But she's like representing super villains, but not villains, but super powered bad guys. I don't know.
Super powered humans. Can't use the word mutant. It's still up in the air.
No, I'm pretty sure Ms. Marvel is the introduction of mutants into the...
No, she has a mutation. Does not confirm mutants, even though they use the X-Men 90s music for that couple seconds. But we're going to ignore that.
I don't know. Pretty sure it was the X gene.
No. But anyways, I don't know. Are you excited for the She-Hulk? Are you actually going to watch this Disney Plus Marvel show?
What do you mean?
Right away?
I've watched so many now.
Oh, yeah.
1.5.
1.5. You're doing great.
I think I will watch She-Hulk.
Yeah?
I'm interested enough.
They randomly moved it, too. It was supposed to come out on Wednesdays, and randomly a couple days ago, they're like, we're going to move it to Thursdays. And I'm like, Thursday's a super random day.
If there's a competing title of some sort, maybe, or...
Maybe?
Not sure. Not sure about TV scheduling, because I don't really watch.
Well, it's streaming
TV.
service, so it's even a little bit more different, too, right? Because they did... So originally, I think WandaVision and stuff came out on Fridays, and then I think they threw... Star Wars show on Wednesday, or they switched Loki to Wednesdays, and people went crazy for it, and Loki became like super big on Wednesdays. So then they've kept releasing their major shows and stuff on Wednesday, and it was always good.
Was Obi-Wan Wednesdays, or was it Thursdays? It was
I
Wednesdays?
think Obi-Wan's was Wednesdays as well.
Okay. And then there was the Black Panther trailer.
Black Panther Wakanda Forever, yeah.
There was a tease slash obvious. Since they said that the movie's coming out, but they have Blackheart or
Ironheart,
who is
Riri Williams. In the comics, she's like a 14-year-old super genius, essentially.
She's the Iron Man replacement.
Yeah, she's the young Iron Man. But I think
I'm intrigued to see the suit.
Yeah, I think the suit
just because of how cool MCU's been with like all the Iron Man suits that they've done have looked great. So I'm, it does feel bad when there's no Iron Man. So I'm excited to see an Iron Man-esque character.
Well, the thing is, I'm super excited because of how big Kang is becoming inside the MCU. I'm really hoping we're going to see the younger, in quotations, alternate version of Kang. Because in the comics, he goes by different names. But when he's younger, there's a situation he meets his future self, and he doesn't like the way he's becoming. So he makes his own Iron Man suit, and he becomes a character known as Iron Lad.
Iron Lad.
And he becomes part of the Young Avengers and stuff. Which is still something Disney could potentially be working on. But
the back-to-back Avengers movie is going to be coming.
Yeah. The Kang Dynasty followed by Secret Wars. We're going to have a Fantastic Four movie.
Fantastic Four, which will probably be a big lead into
everything.
Secret Wars. So definitely some interesting...
I'm trying to think what Captain America 4, Thunderbolts.
Thunderbolts was interesting.
That would replace my theory of the Dark Avengers.
Because the Thunderbolts are kind of like the Suicide Squad, but not as intense.
No,
right?
They're like, I want to say born again almost heroes.
It's like people that are willing to cross the line. So they're like anti-heroes and villains that are basically willing to do stuff that heroes aren't.
Yeah, and various characters have been on that
not to the
team.
level of Suicide Squad, like forced against their will, like we're going to blow up your brain.
No, I mean Punisher probably, but traditionally in the comics, Thunderbolts is like Red Hulk and X-23 and sometimes Ghost Rider, Punisher, these like borderline anti-heroes that could easily be classified as a villain, but their morals aren't completely messed up per se. And then on the DC front, that's it.
Very good, DC. Well done. We're super excited.
I feel bad. Not even like any of the CW shows got trailers or anything either. Like I remember like 5-6 years ago, like how big it was when CW shows got the Comic-Con reveal and everyone would be so hyped for it. But
They're working on it.
Yeah, that's what they keep saying. The Arrowverse is dead.
Was there anything else that you saw that you were kind of excited for from the Comic-Con?
I don't think so. I mean, like, for people that are fans of Groot, obviously there's, like, the I Am Groot.
Yes, I Am Groot, which is... Okay, I'm not the biggest fan of Groot in terms of the way that he's been portrayed in the movies as just this, like, I want to sell memorabilia level character. But the things... I feel like he loses a lot of his humor without Rocket. I feel like that's like the one thing that makes me like him is because the way they bounce off is obviously Groot says 3 words, and then Rocket understands all of it. that's like what makes it humorous to me. So if Rocket's not in it, it doesn't feel like it's gonna hold that same humor for me. It kind of just seems stupid.
Well, it's like shorts as well, so I don't expect them to be longer than like 10 minutes at best.
Yeah, it's probably like 10 minutes tops.
Yeah, it's definitely just some type of memorabilia, but maybe they'll be good and we'll be surprised.
I don't think so.
I don't think so either, but I can dream.
I think he's gonna say, "I am Groot." Groot. I am Groot.
I am Groot.
No, he doesn't. That's adult Groot.
Oh, sorry, it's a dog. Sorry.
He's a baby.
I am Groot.
There you go. That's a little better. A little better. That's about where we're
A little
at.
bit. But that really, I think, well, obviously, like, we're not going to joke, but, like, obviously DC released, like, I think another Sandman trailer. They released another Black Adam trailer, which, I mean.
Hell yeah. The best hero of them all.
I love Justice Society of America. Sorry, I mean Black Adam.
Favorite hero. The Rock. Black Adam. They should have just called it The Rock and just made him a DC hero,
Well,
honestly.
Did you see the post-credit scene for Super Pets?
No, why would I see the post-credit scene of Super Pets?
I haven't seen the movie, but I've seen the clip of the post-credit scene. So, in that movie, you have The Rock voicing Crypto the Super Dog. Okay? And he's with Superman. I think he's at a dog park or something. And thunder strikes. And all of a sudden, Black Adam shows up with his dog. And the dog is also voiced by The Rock. And Black Adam is also voiced by The Rock.
There's a lot of Rock.
There's a lot of Rock in one scene.
Too much The Rock.
I think DC's really, like, because of how many they're losing actors, I really think they're trying to just milk The Rock.
They need to. The Rock will make the money. But it's just not Black Adam. It doesn't feel like Black Adam. I don't even know much about him, but I know it's not Black Adam.
No, he's not a hero in the slightest. I've never read a Shazam comic or, like, heard something about Black Adam. I'm like, yeah, love that hero.
What a great hero. What a great anti-hero.
My favorite.
But yeah. Anything else from Comic-Con?
I mean, for your D&D fans, there was obviously the Honor Amongst Thieves trailer.
Oh, yeah, that's true. I did watch the trailer. I've talked to a couple of my D&D pals, and no one is excited at all.
It looks okay for an adventure film.
I feel like you should just take out the D&D, though.
Yeah.
It reminds me of, like, the World of Warcraft. Like, it's just kind of like you're trying to get, like, this fan base, but, like, you're just going about it the wrong way, I think.
You're trying too hard, I think.
I think being inspired. I mean, look at all the stories that are already inspired by Dungeons and Dragons that never have to mention. I realize who's behind the movie, but it's like, I don't know. It gives the stigma that it's just going to be cringy because of that.
But also, there's enough properties inside D&D, like between novelizations and everything, and obviously through Critical Role, Dimension 20, whatever. There's so many stories they could easily just make. I know, don't get me wrong, they did make a show because of Critical Role, but could you imagine if they made a Legend of Drizzt movie?
Yeah, that would be way better than just some action comedy.
Exactly. But what do we know?
But that would have a lot to live up to. That's the problem.
I mean, yeah.
That's the huge issue. It's like when you think of like anime, like obviously the 3D animation CGI Berserk is horrendous, but it is that level of like, could you really ever do Berserk justice kind of thing, right? It's like the same thing with Drizzt. He's so huge, like
inside that community.
Would a movie for him ever actually be good?
No.
Even if it was all right, I feel like it would get
hardcore
wrecked.
Fans would destroy it.
Because they would go off maybe one or two things, and then you lose the whole fan base. They just go crazy.
100%.
In other news, you have caught up to One Piece.
I am officially caught up to One Piece, and I'm kind of it's a weird feeling.
You've read weekly 2 chapters, I think. 2 chapters have come out.
Yes, 2 chapters officially have come out, and I'm kind of sad.
How does it feel to be a weekly reader?
I think I've ascended. I'm still a weeb. Like, I'm above casual scrub, and I'm not an otaku in any way. But I feel like I've ascended. I've leveled up.
It's funny. I was talking to our one friend Hayden, and he's been reading One Piece weekly for a bit now. But we were chatting, and he's like, "Oh, how long have you been reading?" And I was like, "Oh, I've been reading weekly since, like, before Whole Cake." Like, and he's like,
"Has it been that long?"
Yeah.
Oh my.
And he was just like, "Oh my gosh!" And it's like, it is crazy because weekly, it's painful. Because when you read One Piece, when you're just binging it, it's so crushable.
Yeah. Oh, it was. I can concur that it was very crushable, but I did have to take breaks from time to time.
Well, yeah, you don't want to get, burnt out, but it's just like you can just race through it easily. You're like, holy crap, I read 20 chapters, I read 30 chapters or whatever. And then when you're like, One Piece will be on break next week or something, you're like, are you kidding me? And then for some reason, it seems like almost every chapter is a cliffhanger.
It is.
But when you're reading just through it, you never notice.
Yeah.
But then once you're reading weekly, you're like, really? Really, Oda?
This is how you're gonna leave this chapter. Now we have to wait.
You're going to do me dirty for like this?
But no, it's a. I'm happy that I'm caught up, but I'm also sad because I've read so much and I just want the adventure to continue. Because like I had like I think about 10 chapters left, and I literally stared at it and I was like, I don't know if I want to do this. I don't know if I want to officially catch up. It's kind of sad.
It is sad, but hey, now you have time to read more different stories.
We've talked about in the previous episode of how I have 30 chapters left in Promised Neverland. I tried to go back and read it, and then I was like, I have no idea what's happening. So I restarted, and now I'm on chapter 45.
Oh, you restarted the entire manga?
I really wanted to, actually, because I remember loving it a lot, and I remember being constantly like, oh my god, this is great. Keeps getting better and better. And I was like, it's only 170 chapters. I mean, I read like 500 chapters of One Piece in like a month. So, I mean, this should only take me a couple weeks, if that.
Yeah, that's fair.
I mean, I read 15 chapters this morning. So.
Yeah, the benefit of Shonen Jump titles is for the most part, they're pretty easy reads.
Yeah.
All right, going more into the One Piece whole. So we did ask you some questions related to One Piece. You think any of your answers have changed? Characters, some of your favorite villains, favorite arc?
I don't know, because now that
Actually, before you say anything, spoilers ahead. If you are not caught up on One Piece, we'll say, I mean, I doubt anyone is listening that is, but in case you are, these will be chapter like spoilers for past like 1050. So if you're not caught up,
yeah. My favorite characters still stand as Jinbei and Brook, I think. Carrot, sad days. I don't really know what's gonna happen with Carrot.
Yeah, she kind of just came to Wano with everyone, and then she just kind of falls to the wayside.
Carrot? I don't know.
She does.
She shows up occasionally, but
no, she fights Perospero again.
Yeah,
and loses. I'm pretty sure again, if I remember correctly during the battle. But yeah, she kind of falls to the wayside.
Yeah, so I'm like, all right, Carrot's no longer in my top 3. I don't know. But Jinbei.
Yeah, Carrot falls under like that recency bias, I think. Same with like a lot of people have been voting like Yamato is like high up there on their like favorite list, and you're just kind of like, is Yamato your favorite, or is it just recency bias that you're like, I like this character a lot? That's what I think Carrot had a lot of.
Oh, most definitely, because Carrot was like
now she's not there,
character.
and I don't hear anyone complaining that she's not there.
Yeah, no one's being like, oh my gosh, where did Carrot, or screw Carrot kind of thing. But no, I think like now that I'm at a point that Jinbei has officially been part of the crew, and we got to see that one shot, we see everyone a part of the crew, I'm like, this is goosebumps. And it's funny because, so I caught up, and part of the ending was spoiled for me, but it was a part that I didn't even, like, it was so random to me because somehow someone told me that Buggy the Clown became a new emperor by the end of it. But I didn't, for some reason, make the connection that obviously Luffy helping take down 2 emperors, Luffy would become one of the 4 emperors. Yeah. I just didn't, it never crossed my mind because he was always nicknamed the 5th emperor, but I was like, all right, no, Luffy's still pretty young. He probably won't become the 4th emperor. So I just took it out of my brain that he would ever become one. And then I get to the end of it, I'm like, I knew Buggy was going to be it. And it was such a weird, like, subtle plot twist that I knew I should have seen coming.
Yeah, it's kind of the natural progression from being the, like, unofficial 5th emperor.
You would just kind of get slid in.
Yeah, when 2 drop, it just kind of makes sense that you're next in line. It's kind of like almost like saying, this guy's next. Someone drops, he next.
Yeah, which is funny because I just took it. It didn't cross my mind.
And you're not up. Some people were upset about the Buggy being a Yonko. What are your feelings?
We've talked about this briefly off mic, I guess, and with what we've talked about, it makes sense.
It does
because
make sense.
From the audience point of view, we know Buggy is this stupid.
Or is he?
He's just. He's not useless. I don't want to say he's useless, but we see him as like this little chicken.
Mm-hmm.
Like he runs around a lot. He's running away. You know, his power is the chop fruit, whatever. He's really.
But what if the chop fruit can freaking chop like at a molecular level?
Well, is it awakened?
Exactly.
And could it be? I think that'd be intense to see later.
Because when you think of like just the simplicity of the chop fruit, what is stopping from him being able to slice atoms or cause like crazy
Nuclear explosions.
mini black holes or something?
It's true,
from
but I
being
don't
able
think
to do
Buggy
stuff?
has a high enough intelligence to realize that. Let's be real.
Maybe not, but it is just funny to think like his power is he's probably one of those characters that has a power that you gave it to someone different, it could be insane.
Oh,
Or maybe
definitely.
it does become insane. We don't know.
Yeah, but I think because of how the audience sees him, the fans will be kind of upset. But inside the universe of One Piece,
They don't know.
they don't know. They think Buggy's like this intense man, like
Yeah, he's running
Captain-
this whole post time skip. He's running this whole charade of he basically runs an entire armada
Yeah.
of strong pirates under him, right? And he doesn't have to do anything because he's smart in that way. And then it's like all appearances, right? Like he has everyone doing his bidding kind of thing and making him look stronger. And on top of that, he's friends with Shanks. They've openly the world government has literally openly seen Shanks talk to him as if they're buds,
Yeah.
even though Buggy doesn't like Shanks. Shanks
Or
likes
does he?
Buggy. And so that's one thing he's got going from. Obviously, he was part of Gold Roger's crew.
Yep.
Automatic red flag for the world government. And then he stood there at the war, right, with Whitebeard. Whitebeard remembered him as part of Roger's crew. So he has a lot of things going for him. And then obviously the prison, he got all of these extra crew members of all these pirates that were in Impel Down that have now joined him and sworn their loyalty to Buggy.
It makes sense
And
from
I'm
a
sure
government point of view.
as he's going post time skip, he just kept gathering more and more pirates. These pirates that then looked up to him, they probably grabbed more pirates they knew, and so forth. So the empire has grown.
Yep.
I've seen some spoilers for the new chapter, and I think we're gonna get maybe some Buggy updates, which are gonna be crazy.
Oddly excited for that. I don't know.
But yeah, I think from the One Piece world government perspective, he's dangerous looking.
I agree.
And he was a warlord for how long?
Exactly. So it makes sense.
It makes sense that in terms of their reach,
Yeah.
I think it makes sense that he's a Yonko.
Plain and simple.
Doesn't mean he's the most powerful, and he never has been.
No.
It's just his influence and how he appears.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's the most important part. So, and I think he probably does have his I forget what his whole shtick was called, the whole Buggy pirate thing going on that he had going on, but I'd assume it's been broken down by the warlords being reduced to no longer being part of the world government, but
yeah.
I'm sure he probably has land enough so to be, look like he's important.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think also the ending of Luffy unlocking Gear 5, I heard about it, but I didn't fully understand to the amount it was going to affect Luffy.
Oh, you mean because he kind of just has his own Super Saiyan transformation?
Yeah.
I saw look, I love One Piece, and I like One Piece more than Dragon Ball, but I saw people trying to say it was more iconic than Super Saiyan, and I'm just like, I don't think so. I think if something's probably inspired by Super Saiyan, it means that Super Saiyan is probably more iconic.
Yeah. I am excited to see how it's animated. Like when we see
should
that.
be interesting to see how it's animated.
I don't know. I was pretty stoked overall. I'm happy that I've caught up, and I'm hoping that we're going to move on from Wano soon. Just because it feels like it's done and over with. Like Wano, like there's a couple things that we still need to tie up, loose ends, obviously. But overall, I'm excited to see where the next journey is going to be.
Yeah, where do the Straw Hats
Where do
go
we
next?
go from here?
Does Yamato actually join the crew?
Stay tuned.
Yeah, I think. What do you think of the whole underwater Wano, the old Wano?
I have so many questions.
I think that just fell under the classic, Oda was answering a couple of our questions, and then he just hit us with 15 more questions that we need to ask ourselves.
But we're not going to get answered. That's the thing. Because we're going to leave Wano in the next few issues, and then those questions are just going to be left behind forever.
No.
Until 400 chapters from now, when all of a sudden, boom, it's important again.
It'll have to be, because
classic Oda.
Because obviously Wano will be. It'll have to be. I would assume before whatever the next big war is that Oda's just talked about or hinted at, that the weapons, all the legendary weapons, will be present.
Oh.
Or affecting it.
100%.
Which means Wano would have to be opened to release the weapon.
Which is a big thing.
So I'm sure it'll come to play again.
Yeah.
So Jinbei's your favorite, Straw Hat.
Yeah. No, Jinbei followed by Brook is my favorite when it comes to Straw Hats. For
Skypiea is still one of your least favorite.
Yeah. I like, because of the way I watched a bunch of the anime, obviously up to Fisherman Island, the time skip, and then I went into the manga. I will eventually go back and read the manga because apparently Skypiea is a much better manga version versus the anime version. So maybe I will dislike it less, and maybe I'll dislike another arc more because I know a lot of people aren't the biggest fan of Thriller Bark.
Yeah, I'd say Thriller Bark's probably down there for me. I think Thriller Bark hilariously has some of the best moments, but it's like one of my least favorite arcs.
That's a very common answer, I think, when it comes to what are the worst arcs. A lot of big One Piece fans will say Thriller Bark or Skypiea. I know that Skypiea is a lot more important.
There are important parts of Skypiea for sure.
Yeah.
And Skypiea is interesting looking back at it from everything you know now because it has such early prototype versions of hockey.
Yeah.
So it is interesting to see like the early ideas that Oda had.
Yeah. No, 100%.
Plus, like, dials were cool back in the day.
They were something different.
And then they use them for a bit, and then they just kind of fall off.
It's true.
What's your favorite moment?
Favorite moment? As a whole, just like my favorite moment overall?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to break this down to two spots. One from the anime and then one from the manga.
Oh, okay.
So one of my favorite moments probably from the anime, and it's a really cringy moment, but it's Thriller Bark. And it's literally just...
Luffy putting the skeleton back in the grave.
What? No, I was just going to... No. It was just Luffy, like, hearing Brook playing.
Or a zombie. Is it a zombie?
Yeah.
That was funny, though.
It was. Thriller Bark has
He
random
just
moments.
doesn't care. He just puts him back in the grave. Yeah. I thought that was just a Matt level moment. It's just so random.
I mean, it's up there, but it's... No. It's definitely just getting introduced to Brook and Luffy just being like, he's it. I want him on my crew. And everyone else is like, no.
Yeah, well, Luffy saw that he was a skeleton and he wanted him on his crew. Everything else was irrelevant.
Yeah. And he was a musician, so that was bonus.
That was just a bonus.
Yeah.
Luffy would have wanted him part of his crew. Talking skeleton already wanted him part of the crew.
I thought it was funny. But manga... Really trying to think. For favorite moment. I mean, when I was reading the Shonen Jump, I have like a couple screenshots, and it's such a random one though, and it's definitely a mad moment. Of Luffy fighting the sumo wrestler.
Oh,
and he does like the sumo slap. That's not my favorite though. I don't know. That's just one I have like saved. Yeah. It's hard to pick a favorite like moment in the manga, but like I don't know, like all of Zou. I know people don't really talk about Zou because it's just like this like couple chapters.
I think Zou is pretty epic. It definitely gives you the chills when Raizo is there.
Yeah.
After everything that happened, he actually is there, and you're just like,
oh,
wow. You're like, these guys don't mess around. They are loyal.
They are. It's insane. I do think. I feel like you were expecting me to say the time travel aspect of Wano, because I'm very much a time travel fiend.
I don't know what I was expecting, honestly.
That's fair.
Mine's easy because mine has not changed for so long, and mine is still going to be like the nothing happened moment with Zoro.
Yeah,
which is hilarious. It's my least favorite arc, but my favorite moment in all of One Piece.
The irony.
I just think that it's definitely an insane moment from Zoro because that's like him. He's basically giving up his dream.
Yeah.
Right, like for Luffy. Like that's how much of an impact Luffy has had on Zoro. Right, like Zoro is willing to give up his life so Luffy can still achieve his dream over his own.
It's kind of dark.
And Zoro just gets better and better because the same thing happens when he basically begs Mihawk to train him.
Yeah.
Because he wants Luffy to achieve his dream and he's willing to put his ego and his, aside. And I don't know. I just love Zoro as a character. I think obviously it's hilarious that he gets lost and sometimes it's almost annoying, but mind-blowingly how is it even possible that he get lost sometimes? It's almost like he has had a devil fruit that is like the lost fruit or something.
Could you imagine? And he can't remember it because he lost.
But I think Zoro has a lot of great moments, and like I think Usopp leaving the crew, and Zoro being like, "We're not just taking him back."
Yeah.
Like he has to apologize and accept that it's on him. Because I thought that was a great moment showing that he really is like the vice, like he really is the right hand to Luffy. You know what I mean? That vice captain.
I agree. Thinking back though, like back to the manga and some of my favorite moments. It's a moment. I don't remember exactly the wording of it, but it's basically when everyone is all back together and everyone's just joking around, and Jinbei just makes this comment about, or he does something, and how Jinbei is so serious and everyone else is just so relaxed and just having a good time, and Jinbei's just there. He's like, guys, we need to go do this kind of thing. And everyone's like, we'll get to it. It's fine.
Yeah. It's like, you know, there's a learning curve to joining the Straw Hats.
Yeah, Jinbei has to lose some IQ points.
I don't think he has to learn. I don't think he needs to lose IQ points. I think he just needs to, you know, needs to learn that you just have to go with the motion of the ocean.
Literally, though.
Because, I mean, look at Nami. She's crazy intelligent, the navigator, and she doesn't really get to decide where they go.
You're right. I've never thought about it that way, but you are 100% right. She's the navigator, but she doesn't get to navigate anything.
No.
Luffy will just be like,
she just makes sure the ship gets to the place that Luffy wants to go.
Sometimes.
Because he's just, you know, and it shows, like, Usopp never wants to go to any of the Scary Islands, and where does Luffy want to go? The Scary Islands. Nami doesn't want to go there either, and they're going.
They're going. The captain wants what the captain wants.
It is definitely a crazy ragtag group, but I love them.
It's a fun time, honestly. Like, as boring as certain characters are, actually, that's something. In Wano, the leveling up, I feel like most characters got to level up.
Yeah, a lot of characters got kind of like, I guess if you want to say
a perk, a bonus,
or whatever.
Something I didn't expect was Robin.
Yeah, and I loved the play up to the demon, because she's the demon child is like her epithet, and it's like it just lived up to it, and I was just like, way to own it,
right?
Like, I don't know if that's specific to the Devil Fruit or if that's her specifically like creating that image. I want to believe that that's Robin creating that image because of who she's been called her whole life, since a kid, and I thought it was epic.
Oh, that was great, honestly. Like, even I think Zoro's power up was kind of funny.
Well, Zoro gets a couple power ups. He gets a new sword, because obviously the people of Wano don't like that he has like the treasure of Wano.
Yeah.
And he gets one of Odin's swords, which is broken. And I felt like it felt heavily implied or hinted that he was going to be able to turn it into a black sword.
Yeah.
That was one of my predictions when he first got it, because it's already imbued with so much hockey and stuff, and it loves hockey. I thought he was giving up a black blade, and it would have been really cool if he was able to create a black blade himself. Maybe one day, maybe going into the war, maybe by the time he gets there, maybe all three of his blades are black blades, or he gets another
exotic legendary sword.
We haven't left Wano.
It's true. He could still
There's
get
still
one.
a chance that he can get the highest grade of the cursed sword.
Yeah.
Right? Because he has a cursed sword, but it's not the highest grade. So maybe he gets a new sword. He could end up with 2 new swords, maybe. He also did officially unlock his Conqueror's Haki, which I felt was so obvious that he had to have had it, because his goal it's not as insane as Luffy's, but he is just as driven, and it is a very difficult goal. And he's got the willpower for it, you know, like it just made sense. You look at Roger's crew, you have Rayleigh who has it, you know, it on these big crews, really. Multiple people have had it. So it made sense that our main crew, it would make sense that at least 2 people would have it.
Yeah.
Even if it wasn't, you know, he wasn't able to take out Kaido, which would have been epic, but, you know, that's gotta be for Luffy.
Yeah. Story-wise, it had to be Luffy.
Well, that's just the way Oda writes.
Yeah.
Main character gets the main bad.
It's just the way it goes.
Tale as old as time.
Oh, yeah.
Anything else happen that you were like, oh?
I think just in general, just seeing all the different power-ups and stuff like that was pretty neat.
We met Green Bull. I can't remember the actual admiral name now, but the forest fruit as a Logia.
Which is weird.
Yeah, and he was all of Wano. He was walking by Wano, and I can't remember the area of Wano. That's all basically like desert.
Yeah.
He made it like lush again.
I mean, we can talk about Shanks' freaking hockey.
Yeah, hockey. Oh, like from like how far away? That was crazy.
Insane.
He was able to dissuade an admiral from continuing his chaos amongst the Wano people.
Just so casually too.
Yeah, that was pretty epic. He has to have probably the strongest hockey
Arguably,
in the One Piece
100%.
world. Like it's like he wasn't even on the island,
No.
which is insane. Just absolutely insane levels. And obviously, it looks like we might be getting a lot more Shanks
Heck
in the story, which is cool. Maybe.
Best
Maybe. He
behind
did
the
just kind of
scenes.
now has
Kind of dipped.
sailed off to deal with Bartolomeo.
Yay.
Was it Bartolomeo?
Yeah. He left to go see him. Puma.
Because he messed up his one of red hair lands.
Yep.
With the straw hat. I thought that he was gonna fight Luffy. I'm gonna be honest. I thought that
You thought that we were just gonna go right into that right after Wano?
I thought he was gonna hop onto Wano and be like, Straw Hat Luffy. And Luffy was gonna be all excited, but then Shanks was gonna like fight quotations him to be like smart, like get your fleet under control or something like that,
See, I would think that would happen, but not necessarily to make sure his fleet was under control, but to see if he was officially ready.
I think he understands. The picture was of Luffy unlocked,
Yeah.
right? Like that was him as an awakened devil fruit user was his picture on his thing, and just the way they showed it in the chapter, I felt like it feels like Shanks knew that it was more than just the gum fruit.
I think Shank knew.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
I think he was aware of
what
the
he was stealing.
the importance of the fruit and what it could be. So I think he saw that picture of Luffy and he knew that it was, it's just a matter of time now when they have stuff to deal with first, kind of thing. Kind of reminds me of a certain Jinbei. I'll join. I just have things to do. It's like he'll meet Luffy. He got things to do.
Yeah, he's a busy man.
He's got stuff. Okay, relax.
But I think that's about it, really. I mean, for One Piece, obviously there's a whole lot there, but.
And what would you have any would you recommend One Piece to people? How would you recommend they go about it? Is it worth 1,000+ chapters?
So people have actually asked me that because I told people I was reading One Piece and I finally cut up and they're like, why,
why
how?
One Piece or why it's so long?
And with me, and I've read a lot of different material of manga, graphic novels, single issue comics, young adult novels, regular novels, so on and so forth. And I'm a huge fan of foreshadowing, and I have to applaud Oda because this man is so good with foreshadowing that it's incredible, and that's
but
one
he
of the
doesn't
mains.
he doesn't skip a beat on his short form storytelling. I think that's what makes it great is he has this insane long form and short form storytelling that he balances so well, and you don't know what he's actually going to show and not show. That's the craziest part.
You don't know what's important and what's not important
Because
so
it could be.
have to go with the flow.
Because it could be.
Exactly.
And he's done it time and time again where you're like, really? That thing was mentioned like 400 chapters ago actually is relevant? So then whenever something, even now, we're this late into the manga, you're like, you want to believe like, there's no way that's relevant, like actually relevant. He's just expanding stuff.
And yet it's relevant. So I do applaud that. I think for anyone that wants to get into manga, like obviously One Piece sounds like a lot. But my advice if someone who really enjoys a good story, to take One Piece arc by arc. Because even though I binged it...
That'd be my suggestion too. Read an arc, take a break.
Yeah.
Read... The craziest thing is, you can read an arc of One Piece, then go read another manga.
And then come back.
One Piece will be there.
It will always be there. But no, I agree. Definitely. I think that's the best way to start with One Piece is to read an arc or two or just go slowly. And One Piece is large, yes, but just take it at your own pace. Don't feel the obligation to rush through 1,055 chapters.
Yeah. Another big advice I would say is remember it's the beginning. It's an old story.
25 years ago.
So 25 years ago, that really slow startup was common. I think a lot of the new stories, like they get to it quick, and that's why they're why they're popular and why they haven't died out. But One Piece, it's a slow burn at the beginning.
It is, but it's also proper good character development, because that's the thing too with Oda is, yes, every arc for whatever source of material you're reading, whether it be comics or manga, anime, so on and so forth, you obviously see character development. But even with Oda, like, supporting characters get character development. Even if you never see them ever again, those supporting characters somehow grew.
Yeah, I think it's something like over 1,500 named characters in One Piece.
It's incredible.
And if I remember correctly, I remember it was like in a Discord call with some friends, and we were like, what our one friend who doesn't read One Piece or watch One Piece was like, yeah, whatever, name 50. And you can. Like, it was
Easy.
wasn't too bad. Well, I should have went in more of an order. When you go all over the place, you get a little lost in the sauce, but I tried to do it, but then we tried to do it with Naruto. And Naruto's actually only got something like, if you don't include Boruto, it's only like something like almost 300 named characters.
Yeah. Like, on the top of my head, I can probably, like, if I was given like 60 seconds to name Naruto characters, I could probably name a good like 30.
We'll do it after the podcast. You'll see how hard it is.
Well, me trying to, like, I haven't talked and like really seen Naruto in so long either.
Well, then you're overconfident.
Terrible. Well, I'm just going through the teams, really.
But yeah, I think it's definitely a slow burn, but it's worth it. And it is one of those ones, for the most part, there are obviously some outliers, but for the most part, it feels like every arc it gets better and better.
There is a lot of growing per arc, and I think it's great.
Post time skip, every arc, it just feels like every arc is better.
Just keeps going.
But yeah, that's awesome. Matt's caught up on One Piece. I'm sure he'll end up reading some other stories that we'll talk about.
Yeah, so my plan right now is, because we've talked about in previous, I'm still reading through Tokyo Ghoul. I took a long break because obviously I got sick, and then I was reading through One Piece. So I read a couple volumes of Tokyo Ghoul Re. So I have 10 volumes left. So I'm going to be finishing up Tokyo Ghoul Re. I'm going to be reading through all of Promised Neverland. So I'll be finished both of those up. And then I think afterwards I'm probably going to go into Demon Slayer.
Okay.
Read through all that.
Picking stuff that's like
relevant.
Finished, yeah. It's easier when stuff's finished.
Yeah, and then there is the one I want to do. It's the magic one. What's it called? Mashal?
Oh, yeah. Like One Punch Man, Harry Potter.
Yeah, the One Punch Man, Harry Potter. I want to read that one. I want to give it a try at least. And then probably My Hero Academia. Because
hilariously the most Matt probably manga there is.
Which is funny.
The combination of Japan
and X-Men.
And X-Men.
Yeah, that is My Hero Academia in a nutshell. From what I remember, I've watched the first
I think you've seen
and a
the
half
two.
seasons.
Yeah, I think you've seen the first two.
Don't know if I've seen third season yet or not. But yeah, I don't know. I'm excited, and obviously for the listeners and Connor, obviously, stay tuned for what I'll be reading next. Yes.
And we will probably have a more dedicated One Piece
themed
episode.
Yeah.
I know that this one was heavily, the back half has been heavily One Piece, but we will want to, I think we want to have a guest, someone that's also into One Piece to bounce off of.
Potentially that Hayden guy.
Yeah, maybe the Hayden guy can come on, and he definitely loves One Piece, so I'm
sure
like
we can get him talking easily.
He could probably blab on, and we don't even have to say anything, and he can take over for an hour of talking about One Piece. But we do have some fan questions.
Yes. So let's actually start with Hayden, one of our listeners and the person we've talked about a couple times. He threw a bunch of questions at me, but I'll save a few of them for the next episode. So we'll do one of his questions, and one of his questions is the biggest plot twist in a story. What do you think is the biggest plot twist in a story? We can break this down. Let's just do like movies and TV shows, and then anime and manga. Just do two separate ones.
I'm gonna need a moment, Matt. Would you like to? Do you have an answer?
I do.
I mean, I guess you have time to prepare since you looked at the question.
Yeah, I did know the questions ahead of time. So, for manga or anime for a plot twist, I don't know. I wouldn't say this is cliche. I don't think so. But as a whole, Promised Neverland, because I felt like every 10 chapters there was a different plot twist that happened. But particularly, let's go just like the end. I think it's like chapter 2, maybe. No, I think it's the end of episode 1, but also like the first couple chapters of what happens and when you find out what Promised Neverland is actually about.
Yeah, in terms of anime, I would also have Promised Neverland easily as my choice, and it's literally the first episode.
Yeah, but even just outside of that, it is constant plot twisting.
yeah, that's kind of like the shock factor is kind of what keeps you into it. Overall, I would say that initial, like, I watched
Death of Connie.
I watched the first Promise Neverland episode not knowing anything about it.
Same. You tossed me right into it. And you're
And
like, this is a
then-
good anime. Watch it. And I was like, okay. And I was like, whoa.
And then you're just like, wait a second, what?
Well, that's why I think I wanted to reread all of Promised Neverland, because I remember loving the constant plot twists. And even where I am right now, like, there was plot twists I remember, but I forgot how good the reveal was. So partial spoiler alert. I think it's by the end of the second volume of Promised Neverland. So really it's only like 15 chapters in. It's getting revealed that Ray is the person that's leaking all the information to Mom.
Mm-hmm,
And then more of Ray's character gets put out and why he's so close to Mom and everything. And like, Ray as a character is a plot twist, I think, because he's like this character who's just kind of there, and then you find out that he's lying and he's actually close with Mom, and then you find out that he's been collecting these items because he knows about the chip, and then he's revealed to be Mom's kid, and then you're like, he's given up. Just kidding, he hasn't given up, and he's just keeps going.
There's lots of plot twists, but I mean, like, in terms of like, if you were to just say
yeah, just the Connie death.
plot twist,
Yeah.
I think that's up there. I think if somehow you don't know what happens in Berserk,
Mm-hmm.
if you are somehow untainted and you are going in and reading Berserk for the first ever time, I think that the Eclipse arc will, like, during the eclipse, you will, that is up there. That
Another
is
one-
obviously the greatest betrayal, but also, like,
What a twist.
it really is. If you knew nothing going to Berserk, you would not have expected that.
Yeah. I think another one, it goes without saying because it's not really a twist because it's literally the name of the anime. Your Lie in April. It's not really a plot twist, but
No, it's not a plot twist.
it's a good one. But anything personally for you for like movies or shows or anything that's not too anime?
I don't know. I can't think of any TV shows really. I feel like a lot of the TV shows I watch are, you kind of just, as bad as it may sound, you kind of just know what's gonna happen. Like,
Yeah.
and the ones that you can't predict, I don't know if I would call them plot twists, more so just things that happen for the drama. Like, if you think of like Grey's Anatomy, some of the insanely ridiculous dramatic episodes that happen, like, it's not really plot twisty, but it's just kind of dramatic for the sense of dramatic.
I mean, personally, I think this isn't like a big plot twist, but I remember how big it was years ago. Was Flash season 3 when you have the big baddie Savitar and everything like that, and then it's revealed that it's actually Barry.
Okay, yeah,
Like that was a little bit of a plot twist.
It's not bad. I think some of the Game of Thrones had some interesting ones.
For movies, I think personally, like, you ever seen the movie Now You See Me?
No.
So that one, the plot twist at the end of it with Mark Ruffalo's character, completely did not expect that, because the entire movie, Mark Ruffalo's basically the villain, and he's like trying to take down the main characters because it's a heist style magic-y magician movie, and just the end of it, it just comes right out of left field, and like it all makes sense at the end, but you're like, okay. So that was probably, in my opinion, one of the best plot twists.
There probably is a movie that has a plot twist. I just can't think of it off the top of my head because most of the movies I've watched recently are more superhero based, and I feel like
there's not really plot twists in it.
Yeah,
superhero movies anymore.
They're not really plot twists. I guess if nice surprise is the Spider-Man that show up in the multiple Spider-Man and Spider-Man.
Yeah,
like
if you didn't know.
Yeah, that's. I wouldn't really say a plot twist, but it was a plot surprise if you didn't get spoiled for you.
Yeah.
But yeah, a lot of mine are more anime based. I think Clannad After Story has some pretty crazy twists and turns. It takes your heart.
I've not seen it, so I can't.
Takes your heart through the ringer really well. But yeah, I think Berserk is probably up there. Promised Neverland.
Yeah.
Those ones are definitely great.
Okay. Well, thanks, Hayden, for submitting that question. We'll move on to, we got two more questions we'll do. Zach from Nova Scotia. He comes back another question, and it's a preferred medium to consume content and why. So for example, like, do you read manga because of the art? Or do you like reading books because you're able to imagine things in your mind? Or would you rather see all the cool special effects? Or do you wait for adaptations to come out of certain things?
I would say my go-to is usually manga,
Yeah.
and that's more because I'm too impatient to wait for the anime. I do enjoy a good anime,
Mm-hmm.
and especially if it's more of a more action-based anime, I definitely love seeing the actual fights being animated. I think it doesn't matter to me as much when it's like a romance,
Yeah.
because it's not as important to see that, I guess. Like I like seeing the action. Like you can obviously kind of tell what's happening in the paneling. As well, that's kind of dependent on the author,
True.
but you can't see every part of the fight. So it is cool to see like animators, if it's really done well, kind of like the liberties they take and make in writing up the fights
Yeah.
and seeing like a complete fight instead of just
Black.
instead of just seeing like snapshots of moments of the fight.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say manga's my go-to because one, not huge reader, so I like obviously seeing it happening, the artwork, following it. If it's the better the art, the more I enjoy it. And then it's mostly due to I'm too impatient to wait for an anime, or vice versa. I watch an episode of an anime or 2 episodes of an anime, and then I'm too impatient to wait for more of that anime.
Just jump right
and
into
then
the
I'm just
manga.
like, okay, time to read the manga. And I know that my brother falls for the same trap where it's like you watch 1 or 2 eps, and then all of a sudden you're caught up on the manga, which is already past what the season's gonna cover anyways, and then you don't end up watching the anime anymore because you know what happens.
That's fair. That is fair.
It's happened. It's happened for a lot of anime for me, but yeah, I'd say manga is my go-to.
Okay. Personally, probably just reading. I think I enjoy like imagining things, or just
You like the books?
I like the books. I have a lot of books at home. But even like reading novelizations of movies is very interesting because you can watch the movie and then you read the novelization and it's the exact same story, yet you're able to imagine more things. Even like novelizations of graphic novels, which Marvel does a lot. Like I recently, a couple days ago, I finished a novelization of the Days of Future Past arc from the comics, which was Kitty going back in time. And I've read the graphic novel before, but reading it novelization, it explains just a few more things, just like because they have to explain the background and stuff, and it just makes it feel more intense sometimes. Or you have like different situations where the Suicide Squad, not a great movie, like the one with Jared Leto and
Right.
not the new one, but you read the novelization of that, and they took part of the original script with the new script, and they added some of the deleted scenes into the book, and they actually like properly like made a great story. I mean, the author was also a comic book writer, so maybe that was also one of the reasons. But it still made out to be a good story. I think just there's an endless capability of creating characters in your head. Like you don't get the same experience from watching Harry Potter when you read Harry Potter.
Yeah, there's literally full elements taken out too, right?
Exactly.
When it comes to books to the films, like you never saw the inside of the kitchen at Hogwarts.
You never get introduced to the whole concept of the whole like house elves. That is such a big thing come like book 4, and for the rest of the series there's a huge subplot that happens with the house elves
Ignored.
not even mentioned.
Yeah, I know.
Like Dobby comes back for like 10 minutes maybe.
Well, and isn't the one character totally against like using the house elves?
Yeah.
Like they're petitioning like to saving them.
That's
and
a
what?
big thing in the books. Even like Neville Longbottom, his character is so much more important in the books than it is in the movies.
Yeah.
And it's just completely disregarded because they hint at it. I think it's it's Order of the Phoenix, I think, when they're in the train station.
They bring up his family for the first time, like his parents' importance.
A fate worse than death.
Yep.
Then we never hear anything about it afterwards. We don't understand what happened, but if you haven't, I mean, I don't want to spoil that part if you're ever going to read the books, but it's great.
If you're ever going to read the Harry Potter books, if you somehow have never read the Harry Potter books.
We know people that are currently reading it for the first time. But yeah, final question then, moving on from our little random Harry Potter tangent. This is coming from Eddie. Is Superman overrated?
Yep.
Full out, yep. That's it.
I don't even need to say more. That is just
Why?
absolutely. He's just made out to be like the ultimately broken hero. It's kind of like Goku, where it's just like, can Superman ever really lose? Can Goku ever really lose? Like, he's just too strong, you know? It makes him unfun. Makes him, like, for me as a reader, like, obviously you always know the hero's going to win, right? But Superman, it's just not as satisfying. Like, I'd rather read Batman and, like, hear about all the intricacies of, like, the detective work that went into figuring stuff out, and then, like, you know, you think of all the martial arts that Bruce had to learn and stuff like that. I feel like that's more, for me, it's more believable, but it's also like he earned it.
Yeah.
Where Superman is just kind of like he's just broken.
I 100% agree. But my question, separate question, have you ever read a Superman comic outside of Superman Unchained?
Yeah, I've read Superman Doomed.
Okay.
I've read
I'm pretty sure I've only read like 2 or 3 Superman stories, and they were like the big ones. Like I've never actually picked up like just a plain volume of Superman.
I've read Superman Doomed. I've read Superman Unchained. I read Superman Man of Tomorrow, I think it's called. Something like that. It's like where he uses his like solar eclipse or whatever it's called.
Oh yeah, his ability that makes him more human.
Yeah. So I've read some decent like big storylines, but
he's overrated. He's just plain and simple. His weakness is a green rock and magic. And if those two things aren't around,
like, and I watched all of Smallville and I liked Smallville.
Yeah.
But I just think other characters within the DC universe are more interesting. They have a lot more going on.
The irony is that
and they work a lot harder.
Yeah.
To win.
Yeah.
A lot more goes into winning.
Because they're not super powered beyond belief.
Well, and his list of powers is just like it's forever growing, and it's just like what can Superman not do? You know,
be human,
run as fast as Flash. Wow, must be rough. Can't run as fast as the guy whose only power is running fast.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, wow, must suck to be Superman.
Feels bad, man.
Could fly, has heat vision, X-ray vision,
ice breath at one point.
Probably has infrared vision.
Probably
has every kind of vision.
Super strength, bulletproof.
Solar flare thing.
Occasionally,
when he feels like it.
Can breathe in space.
That's
he's an alien.
Yeah, he's an alien.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Like Martian Manhunter's broken, but for some reason I find him more interesting.
That's because he's the last Martian of Mars, and like.
He's the last Kryptonian. Well,
no.
Yeah, well.
Not even close, because he sounds like he is, but then Zod shows up.
But that's what he originally was labeled as.
That's true. The funny thing is that Martian Manhunter has a stupider weakness, too.
Fire.
Just fire. Just
fire.
Plain fire.
Fire. Yeah, that's true. It's a bad weakness. But
his design is cooler. He's able to shapeshift. I'm pretty sure he has more abilities than Superman, but
yet somehow he feels less overpowered.
Right?
Isn't that weird?
He's just never been too mainstream, and I think that's why a lot of people are like,
to answer your question, Eddie, yes.
Yeah, Superman's overrated.
Absolutely. Spider-Man is not overrated. I don't care
but
how.
Superman is.
I don't care how popular Spider-Man is. He'll never be overrated. Or Batman. I like both of them.
Fair.
They're up there. Superman's not up there.
Sorry.
I like the Thor movies over Superman. All right. Anyways, thank you for the questions, guys.
Yeah, thank you, Hayden, Zach, Eddie. Thank you for submitting some questions.
If you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out to us on our social medias. We do have a Twitter and an Instagram, Nerdy Misfits. And feel free to check us out on the podcast. For any other future podcasts that we might have, they will be on all the major podcast platforms. So, yeah.
Remember to share it. Share it, too. Share the Nerdy Misfits, some of your friends that maybe are nerds and they're looking for something new to listen to, or they want to get more into podcasts. So, I mean, I feel like our podcast is just 2 dudes just chatting and the occasional guest.
Yeah, and drop a review if you're listening on Apple Podcasts. Helps the podcast a lot.
Yeah, and remember to answer our questions that we usually post on Spotify as well to kind of get some feedback and everything. And yeah, make sure you just give us a follow on all of our different social medias, like Connor said.
And Matthew, you have a wonderful night.
You as well, Connor. We will see you all next Wednesday.
Bye.